I am possessed now of such a zeal for deeds of charity that I could steal the money changer himself together with his profligate wife and even her lover. Command me.
Chapter 30. This is just the time to begin the irrigation, Agabak said cheerfully, appearing the next morning at the canal. True, I shall now get something else instead of money, but there are other irrigations to come. I shall always make good my monetary losses. Next time, I have not miscalculated. The lake shone blue and placid, and above it, as blue as placid, shone the peaceful sky, deep, cool, moist with the nocturnal mists, the slumbrous breath of the earth. You will have to manage here yourself today. I shall be busy, continued Agabak. They will soon bring that damsel to me. Ah, they are already coming with her. Khoja Nasreddin glanced in the direction of the village. A group of men were coming down the road in the direction of the lake. A group of men were coming down the road in the direction of the lake. I see no damsel among them, he said. What do you mean? Agabak cast a look down the road, then shifted it in perplexity to Khoja Nasreddin. Take a closer look. Wazak Bhai, your eyes are sharper than mine. All old men. Confirmed Khoja Nasreddin. I understand, Agabak said grimly. They come again to beg, but I'm not of those fools who yield to blandishment and thaw from tears. You watch how I will deal with them. Arms akimbo, he puffed himself up, his eyes narrowed to a point, his beard thrust forward, his nape red and tensed, and his hairy neck drawn into his shoulders. The old man approached. In front of them walked Muhammad Ali. Only yesterday, an abject, frightened old man, he seemed to have been born anew overnight. He walked with a firm tread and took Agabak squarely and boldly in the face as an equal. Behind him came two farmers, the smith, the potter, and the horse doctor, with Safar, the Chaykhana keeper, bringing up the rear. Muhammad Ali saluted without servility. That was it. Bending his old back in decent moderation. Irrigation time has come and we desire to receive water. The others smoothed their beards out, calling upon the blessings of Allah for their crops. To receive water? Agabak demanded threateningly. But what think you to pay with? My condition, you know, old man? Your daughter. My daughter is not a piece of merchandise to be traded. Muhammad Ali returned with a firmness and dignity which none would have suspected in him the day before. Khoja Nasreddin felt like running up and embracing him for that bold reply. The old man had confirmed a cherished thought of his. Freedom from hunger and fear. That is what a man needs. To eject from his blood that lowly slavish drop. गुलामी का वो कतरा खून में से निकालना है तो उसको fear और hunger से फारिग करो, वो ठीक हो जाएगा. Agabak looked at Muhammad Ali. in surprise. Whence had this old man drawn such insolent courage? Iski ye jurat? Iska ye qadar nar shuda ki ruyi izma tora ma gaya. What are you going to pay with then? This. The old man pulled forth a frayed leathern bag from under his girdle. What is it? Look. Agabak took the bag and pulled the strings. Waskat. Safar, standing behind all the others, craned his skinny neck. He remained true to himself, convinced even now that nothing good would come of it all, and that the jewels would prove to be imitation ones. وزوال مقفتين نمي چلا يچل نمي چلا وي زورادم كنا نشان ميدنا نقلي باشا باورشنا ما يدشاكو. As he had predicted only that morning in the chaikhana, that surprising man would contrive to hide himself from joy even when joy itself flew to him on wings. مو بدبخت ام خوشی که فرض ده پیش ما یورم دور من از خود خود خوشی مطلب ما دم بدبختی رازیم برگم شدنجی یعنی ای قدر ناامید. The rest stood silent, equally prepared to rejoice in triumph or to flee in ignominy. Ready है कि नाल चीज़ कारमोश है मो फरार करनी या क्या करनी. At the sight of the gold and the gems, Kidid Agabek's countenance changed. Where did you get these? I found them. Found them? Where? Under the roots of the apple tree in my garden. Muhammad Ali, you are telling me imagined tales? Dastan Muyali. I am too old for that. Besides, what difference does it make where I found them? Strange. Suspicious, muttered Agabek, emptying the contents of the jewel bag into his hand. In the bright morning sunshine, they sparkled with a still greater brilliance than they had the day before under the beams of the setting sun. Knowing men say that they are worth much more than 4,000, began Muhammad Ali. Knowing men? Agabak interrupted with a sneer. Who are the knowing men here? When all are uncaught like you, he put the jewels away in his pocket. Very well, I agree. Ozak Bhai, let the water on. The key grated in the lock. Khoja Nasreddin took the lock off. The old man, two on each side, gripped the handles of the windlass. The rusty chains grew taut. The shutter moved slowly upward, pressed tight between its water-sodden grooves. The water poured into the chute from under the shutter in a glassy, curving jet with long, swirling funnels at its edges. Its gurgle rose gradually to a steady roar. It ran down the dry bed of the Ariq, driving before it a turbid, foamy crest that swept away the dry leaves, twigs, and birds' feathers, and all else that lay in its path. It seemed as if a length of smooth, gleaming silk were being swiftly unrolled along the bed of a ditch. Silk was Mechidtv. Water! The ring of mattak against mattak would be heard from afar, where the water had already reached the fields. Where the water had already reached the fields. A minute later, the sound was repeated from all sides. The water had spread, bringing life to plants, to trees, and through them to people. Muhammad Ali bent over the ariq and reverently wetted his grey temples and his beard. The old man prayed. All that day, Safar's Chaykhana was empty. All the men were away in the fields. It was not until late in the afternoon, when dusk was already gathering, that they departed to their homes, leaving trusted old men knowing for their honesty to oversee the irrigation. These old men were enjoined to guard the ducts of the main ariq in turn throughout the night. Chowkidari. To watch unremittingly that every field and every orchard received its full share of water, har bagh, har khed, and that not a single drop of it was wasted. Kamil, the water thief, who since his youth had been beaten times without number by his fellow villagers for stealing water. Was this time placed under the surveillance of the mullah. Who had wisely decided to lock him up within the minaret until the morning. The ascendant moon, Ali Madro Balmaya, looked down upon the same fields and gardens, but now a tangle of silver threads had been flung over them, where the brimming ariqs, gleaming, flowing and running, crossed and recrossed in all directions. Yeah, joy high as many as the nigai moon unatam silvery direction. The stillness of that night too was of a special kind. Filled with soft ripples, gurgles and splashings. At times one could hear faint soughings, as if the earth herself, feeling the cool moisture upon her body, were stirring and sighing in her sleep. Men were so fatigued after their day in the fields that when they got home they were straight to bed. In the Chaykhana, only 4 old men whiled away the nightly hours until their turn to come forth and guard the water. The conversation, of course, turned upon yesterday's find by Muhammad Ali. He himself took no part in the conversation. He had repeated the story so many times that day to each of the villagers in turn that he was utterly exhausted. And now confined himself to the utterances of wordless sounds. A mumble standing for confirmation, a tongue click for contradiction. Those jewels did not grow out of themselves under the apple tree, surely, exclaimed Safar. Happily, they had been lying there in the earth for many centuries, said the old man. One old man. Muhammad Ali clicked his tongue. Centuries indeed. Did he not dig up the earth around the apple tree every year? And yet he had never seen them before? You simply overlooked it. You took the bag for a cloth of earth. This assumption offended Muhammad Ali's self-esteem. He was not of those gardeners who leave clods behind them when digging around the trees. Why? Guess. Why think, he said, unable to contain himself, whence come those jewels? From God. Khuda रहेगा that. Of course, is he not almighty? Is he not capable of performing a miracle? Safar took fright. God? Come to your senses, Muhammad Ali. Do you mean to say that God himself visited your garden yesterday? Why? Himself? He could have sent one of his saints, Father Torokhon, for example. Father Torokhon, as it happened, it had recently been his festival. The children of Chorak, like those of Kokand and other places, had hung up their skull caps in the gardens and vineyards. Father Torokhon, memories came surging back to the old man. The echo of the blessed years when they themselves, breathless with excitement, had soon colored threads to their skull caps. In the old memory of the mind, that distant echo may have faded and died away, but in the memory of the heart, never. Time rolled backwards in the smoke-blackened little chaikhana. The magic of recollection turned the old man into children again. تمام زوجتو جوش ديات نكونا زمانا مكا بچيش تو ديات تاسته نقرار مكدي. Toothless, wizened and decrepit, they had, it seemed, aged and entered upon the twilight of being in body alone, preserving undimmed in their hearts the golden lambent flame of a dawn which had greeted them in their cradles. याद मुकद यक रोजी यक तुलू ई अजीब गरीब की उना दमनी गवारे खुद तजुर्बा कदत दोनों चंगा हो दिखता इमरोज रहा अगर से खेली सालहार दिदन. He who is in the habit of regarding his fellow creatures with attention will not be surprised at this, for he knows how much of the child we all carry within our bosoms. تمام زو استورة ده والله قرتان تقشتري ترفترا فرماي جمزنار كرا قدري كتاج نشتمو. Happily it really was Father Torokhon. One old man said amusingly, but there are no children in the house of Muhammad Ali. Another said doubtfully, Father Torokhon khud zawstora gift mide na? Inji khud khane zawsto ijniya. What of it? Said Muhammad Ali, raising his voice. If he loved my Zulfiya when she was a little girl, wherefore should he cease to love her now? Agar Zulfiya mein ki no bud waqt khosh dast barish dafa mein tum ki promote kada bashali. In the end, the old man decided that Muhammad Ali was right. The jewels had been put there by Torokhon. The coming of midnight put an end to the talk in the chaikhana. The old man went forth into the fields. Muhammad Ali, lost in thought, sighed deeply as he gazed in the nocturnal sky and stars. Through the mist of tender tears that blinded his eyes, they seemed so close, so fluffy and warm. The fields and orchards entrusted to his care were at the far end of the Ariq. He walked along the bank with a matak on his shoulder, carefully examining the small side outlets from the main Ariq. Far any sand drift, checking the flow of the water. Sometimes he stopped to put things right with 2 or 3 strokes of his matak. Then proceeded on his way. The water flowed towards him, now hiding in the black shadows of the trees, now bursting into the open with the silver sparkle of the clustering stars. The road crossed his path. He stood at the sight of 2 night prowlers standing on the footbridge a little way off. He stood in the shadow, listening. He recognized one voice as that of Agabag. The other he could not guess. Du आवाज में एक शे Agabag तरीकी will be cheese pull. يجيش نحتنا مشا. The keeper of the lake. Tomorrow, then, Ozakbai, you will reveal to me the great secret. Hey, master, tomorrow at midnight. Remember your word. I shall remember and keep it. They stepped off the footbridge and came straight towards Muhammad Ali. The old man was loath to meet them, but he could not avoid it. Who is there? Called Agabag. I, Muhammad Ali. I'm guarding the water. Ah, Muhammad Ali, well, forget not to guard your daughter too. While you're at it, after this irrigation, there will be another. The old man's countenance flamed. He threw his head up to make a worthy retort, but he held his peace. The poisoned drop in his blood dozed not. That morning it had given way, and now was seeking requital for the midnight's arrogant deed. That drop was the chief ally of Agabag, and of all the other Agabags in the world, the mainstay of their iniquitous power. Each for himself, it whispered to people. It's a lie. Those who live by that rule will never be able to stand up for themselves in big things. Yarkas marzish yarkas akarmitana kanana. Iblezi razini amagai turbasha khud takara adam tanashis karmitana. The old man seated himself upon a boulder and fell to brooding. Kheli awqaj talkha. He had no sooner seen one trouble upon its way than he was oppressed by a painful premonition of the next. Yak musibat khalas na mshki diyesh mai. Tashwish. To be sure, he will refuse if Agabag should again demand Zulfiya. And with all full right, too, for had he not already paid once for everybody? I've paid my turn. The next time everybody else might take it. Now it was other men's turn. But what if Agabag should refuse to take money? It was either giving up Zulfiya or remaining waterless. And once more the old man would gather in the chaikhana, saying, Muhammad Ali, you alone can save us. Please. What to do? What to do? Margi, what to do? There is a way out of this, and a very simple way. He suddenly heard a voice quite close to him. Ek dafa awaz maya ki there is a way out of this. And a very simple way. He suddenly heard a voice quite close to him. The old man started. Before him stood the keeper of the lake, alone, without Agabag. What way out? Out of what? Out of what you were just thinking. I was not thinking, I was dozing. The shoulder after them. Be it as you say. The way out of what you were just dozing about. Marry your Zulfiya to Said. That is all. When they shall be man and wife, who can part them? The old man was taken aback. by what manner of means Chirakam had this keeper of the lake penetrated his thoughts. Be not surprised. Continued the keeper. I am no magician, Jadugar name, no wizard. You were so deeply withdrawn within yourself that you began to think aloud. तो एक डीप रफ्ता थी कि बेखी हमें वाइब्रेशन तुम दज़मान मेरे से दरो. To think aloud, what imprudence! The old man groaned inwardly and fidgeted about on the stone. How careless! Tomorrow it would all be reported to Agabek. Ali بسيارة وقاش تلخ شده كنا لي فكرة اسمها خبر شد كنا لي موال خبرنا Agabek. I was thinking of nothing. Leave me alone. What concern have you with my affairs and my children? My children, you said. Hence, in thought, you have long since married them. All that remains now is to call in the mullah. Another blunder. He was a dangerous man, this keeper of the lake. One must go warily with him. Best to keep away from him altogether. The old man feigned a yawn and swung his mattock onto his shoulder. I shall go and see to the water. But it was no easy matter to shake off the keeper. He walked along at his side. Tell me honestly, Mamadali, where did you take those jewels? I swear that your secret will die with me. Agabek's spy, Jasusi Agabek, trying to worm out information, huh? I found the jewels under the roots of an apple tree in my garden. The old man reported angrily, almost rudely. But who put them there? The old man's patience was exhausted. He looked straight into the keeper's eyes with a stern glance. Who put them there? Someone who resembles neither you nor your master. Someone benevolent of heart. Whose name is blessed always, everywhere and in all ages. Do you understand? Salami abadi basha bali naam hai. Upon this, he turned away, believing that he had said more than enough to cut short all further conversation between himself and the keeper. But the keeper did not depart. He stood barring the way. Muhammad Ali shoved him aside with a calm, imperious gesture. Suffer me to go, he said. Jaan mare lako. Thereat, a most astonishing thing happened. The keeper suddenly gripped the old man's shoulder and gave him 3 good shakes. Exclaiming, "Why, of course, Father Torokhon! Fancy me not guessing that." Just as suddenly he removed his hands from the shoulders of Muhammad Ali, he walked off swiftly down the road, almost at a run. madman. The old man could find no other explanation. Strange that Agabak had not seen it. Had he gone blind? Well, if he saw it not, that was no concern of his. Muhammad Ali's. It was not his skull that would one day be split upon, open by a mattock in the hands of the keeper. Who would steal up to his victim from behind? It was best to keep away from both of them. Let them settle matters between them in their own way. At this, the old man broke off the thread of his reflections and slowly wended his way back along the bank of the Ariq in the way of the water. As for Khoja Nasreddin, he did not walk. He flew to his clay hut. The thief was waiting for him there, crouching among the burdock thickets outside. This was a special meeting. The thief was drowned in tears of gratitude. While Khoja Nasreddin was saying to him, "Yes, you are forgiven, and even marked with the seal of a special grace. Are you prepared to perform further deeds of valor to the glory of Torakhon?" The thief gave a moist, protracted sob and struck himself on the chest with his fist, crying, "I am possessed now of such a zeal for deeds of charity that I could steal the money changer himself together with his profligate wife and even her lover. Command me." What say you to becoming transformed into an ass? An ass? The thief swallowed his sobs and glanced at Khoja Nasreddin with apprehension. Is it? Really? For long? No, for a short period. Listen carefully. They held converse until the morning. At first it was but a glimmer. For a long time the night resisted the morning light, refusing to yield. At last the light triumphed and detached itself from the darkness, which retreated to the west and sank there, crouching amid the brooding mountains. Let there be light. The sun rose and splashed its rays over the whole boundless world. The birds sang louder. The thief quitted the hut, carrying away in his joy-filled heart the blessed burden of new hopes. Chapter 30 is closing. Adab.